one chapter today, and that is Felix Felicis. In which, oh my god, for the fact that this chapter doesn't have, like, anything to do with, like, the overarching story of either the book itself or the like, war. This chapter is just jammed-packed. So I think I'm gonna go about it in 3 parts. None I'm super coherent on, simply because I'm not an expert in these things. But we're gonna try anyways. Part 1, just sort of a brief interest that I'd like to point out. But we have Harry growing up into his magic. That's gotta be a weird thing to say because, of course, we're thinking, like, he's not doing anything. And that's sort of literally it. We've seen, like, Hermione throughout the series just commonly use magic, but I noticed with this chapter, more than sort of anything else, Harry's just used to fixing things now. Like, when he breaks the bowl in herbology, he just reparo and it puts itself back together, and he fixes poor her-face's nose when Ron punches her. Like, he's just commonly using magic now. And that actually is a change. It's not something we've seen him doing just to get things done. And it's happening now. He's learning that it's not just about school, but he can use it. And he's using it in literally, again, those little helpful ways. Like, he's not hurting people with these little spells that he's using. He's just using magic. And it's sort of neat to see. Parts 2 and 3 are going to be a whole lot messier than that. Part 2, reverse psychology. And was Harry right in faking the use of the Felix with Ron? In one way... Okay, let's start with the good things. 1, he didn't actually use it. Like, he was well aware that that was a stupid way of doing it. And would have been illegal and would have been wrong. You know, like, Hermione actually confounded somebody else. It helped sort of get this funk that has just descended on the trio to at least relax, because we are seeing Ron in a very position about everything, to the point where even Harry's had to call him out and say, like, you need to back off or I will need to get rid of you. And Harry is very right in saying that. Like, you can't take all of your aggression out on your own team and your own friends. And I'm going to stop you before you make this worse. And when that proves not to work, the use of reverse psychology actually does sort of help get them over that concern in regards to Ron's attitude. And eventually, in the long run, will help with his entire confidence. Simply because he gets to look back on it and say, I didn't do anything. Like, that was all you. You're able to do this, you just need to have the confidence to do it. So in a lot of ways, I'm proud of Harry for actually succeeding in this moment. Because I think in the long run, there are a lot of more positives to his use of reverse psychology than there are negatives. Some continuing positives, he gets to call Hermione out on her bullshit, for once. When she straight up is just like, you know that's illegal, and she's like, his response of, "You confounded anyone recently?" Like, he calls Hermione out just as much as he calls Ron out. And the fact that we are seeing him stand up to these two, without the concern that he's going to lose their friendship, like, immediately and totally, is really good to see, because he's saying, no, we've got to draw a line somewhere. And he recognizes when his friends have crossed it, and he is willing to call them out on it, which is a really good thing to see, because it's going to mean when he crosses the line that he can call himself out on it, which is key. And I mean, he toes the line here, but he doesn't actually cross it. When he has the moment where Hermione doesn't understand the importance of Quidditch. Again, it really is sort of this recognition that this is a moment where he's in control. And he retains his self-control actually really well. Like, he handles not stepping over that line to win and actually using the potion. He handles taking a shot, like this moment where he's got Ernie on the announcers just going for it, where he's, again, generally just keeping his team up and running, where he tells the beater, just send a bludgeon his way. Like, he knows the kid's not gonna do it, but it's gonna be that thing where, like, the kid is now thinking, my captain's on my side. And he knows what this guy's saying is rude, and he knows it's a lie. So, I'm going to prove to my captain that his confidence in me is worth it, which is exactly what he does. So we've actually got, in Harry's use of reverse psychology here, we know that's not his only tactic, because he's showing the rest of the team that we can achieve things. Even earlier in the chapter, when Ron punches, oh god, I really should have her name, but the other chaser who is not Dean or Ginny at this moment, like, he tells her, okay, you need to get yourself together. Oh, that's not when Ron punches her. That's when, like, Ron is just screaming at her, and she cries. He says, okay, like, you need to get yourself together, but you are doing good. It is not, suck it up, sunshine, like, calm down. You're doing good. Listen to me. Not the jerk that I have to now have this conversation with. Listen to me. You are flying well. You are doing well. We are actually seeing Harry use different techniques to nurture his team as well as he needs to. And that includes the reverse psychology on his own friend. Likelihood now, Ron's not going to get caught up from this moment again. But when Harry turns to him and says, you just need to have some confidence in yourself, that's actually going to mean something now. Because Ron's seen that in believing that he has this luck and this skill, he can actually achieve a fantastic game. So, while I think there is the question of, he doesn't cross any lines. He is nurturing his team the way he needs to, and he's willing to call his friends out on their bullshit. Without, again, crossing that line himself, in this case. So, reverse psychology. Good on you, Harry. Please don't make me do part 3. Part 3. Hormones. Between Ginny and Dean, and Harry and Ginny, and Ron and Hermione, who, oh my god. Okay. I will agree that in a lot of things Ron has the emotional range of a teaspoon, and Ron is overreacting to a lot of these things, because it's true, Hermione hasn't done anything. Really, Ginny probably hasn't done anything, because she's a teenager, and she's very capable of making these decisions. I think she's allowed to kiss her boyfriend, same as Hermione was allowed to kiss Crumb, and that's not something Ron should stick his nose into. just because you're not the first doesn't mean in a relationship that you're not appreciated. Like, don't think the way Ron is thinking. Especially then, Ginny is right calling him a hypocrite when he just turns around and, like, starts snogging Lavender in the middle of the common room. But is Hermione innocent in this chapter? No. Hermione could seriously be a Slytherin. She has got a vindictive streak to her. Like, from sneak across a girl's face permanently to literally attacking a guy for making out with a girl. Which is exactly the thing that we're telling Ron that he should not do. Hermione is being as hypocritical in this moment as Ron is. For the fact that, again, Hermione ends up crying because Ron is extremely rude to her during the Yule Ball back in 4th year when she's with Crumb, and saying, I have the choice, and if you wanted to ask me, you should have just asked me. It's exactly what's happening here. In her Herbology, Hermione didn't actually directly ask him. She said she was going to. So she doesn't. So she should not expect Ron to act any differently than she did during the Yule Ball. And that is, if necessarily, to move on and find somebody else. And then to attack him. Not with, like, words, but physically attack him. Hormones do horrible, horrible things to people. And the interesting thing is, the person that we are looking at who is going to run into Draco Malfoy and use a spell on him that he's never tried before that's going to put this kid's life in danger, has more self-control over that monster he feels in his stomach than either Ron or Hermione do. It's a little frustrating because we know they're going to get together and we know that they both like each other, but they're now literally just with their hormones so constantly angry and upset with each other that they are not talking. And then when one person makes a decision of their own bodily anatomy, the other gets angry and then attacks them for no good reason. And I really want to point out the fact that Hermione and Ron have switched roles here from the 4th book. So if we're gonna be all like, Ron, that was mean, we have to look at Hermione and say, Hermione, that was mean. They're both being hypocritical, and poor Harry is just sort of like recognizing that he's got this feeling in his stomach and trying to overcome it. Good on you, Harry. Ron, Hermione, maybe talk to each other for once in your goddamn lives. Preferably without arguing, because that seems to happen a lot. But it really is this moment of just, the war disappears, the concern of Draco disappears. Again, the fact that he's got a focus other than Quidditch should concern us. But the concern of Draco disappears. The attack, for the most part, disappears. We're, like, vaguely focused on some schoolwork, but flirting around it, but not actually, like, trying to date. And Quidditch even sort of just... and hormones. Also, I love that this chapter is named after something that, 1, isn't actually used, and 2, we are not seeing the effects of. Because while the Quidditch game certainly was lucky, nothing else here much is. Hormones. One of the reasons why I am glad I am past that super hormonal stage in my teenage years. I'm gonna keep reading, and I hope you do too. See you next time.